Greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to the TOMA Nation's weekly worship service. We are an all-inclusive, Black conscious, righteous movement dedicated to the social, economic, and spiritual survival of Black people in urban America. If you enjoy what you see and hear today, the TOMA Nation would like to extend our invitation for you to join us each and every Sunday at 12:30 live on Facebook from Chicago, Illinois. Tune in and be fed by God's messengers. For more information, you can reach us at 708-730-4858. Please join me as I recite our opening. In the name of the everlasting Father, he that causes all that exists to exist, he that is self-existent, he who directs the sunships of millions of years, and he who made time the seed of the universe. Known among the ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aten, among the Hebrews as Ansar, Yahweh, and Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims and Islamic world as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari. I bear witness that all these names refer to the same one Almighty God, and it is to him whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we, the descendants of those Black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, are the Lost 13 tribe, born in North America and are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the earth flows through our veins. I greet you in the ancient but holy words of peace, Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Habaragani, Alafia, and Ashe. Please join me as I recite the 13 points of what we believe and know. Number 1, we believe and know that we are not to repeat the mistakes of the past prophets and messengers of the Almighty Creator of the heavens and earth. Number 2, we believe and know that we can only establish an economic base through the application of the knowledge of self and the incorporation of the ideologies of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Mahatma Gandhi, and Bin Amin. Number 3, we believe and know that the prophets and messengers of the Holy Bible, the Holy Quran, and the Kemetic holy books were all Black. Number 4, we believe and know that Jesus Christ of 2,000 years was and is a Black man. Number 5, we believe and know that the knowledge of the Almighty Creator goes beyond books written by the prophets and messengers of the Almighty Creator. Number 6, we believe and know that in order to promote and coordinate unity, we must first recognize and accept the uniqueness of being able to worship our Creator, regardless of religious denomination, name, title, ritual, particular dress, or holy book, as long as it recognizes the Almighty Creator of the heavens, earth, and the universe as supreme. Number 7, we believe and know that it is impossible to tell the truth without exposing the wicked governments of the world. Number 8, we believe and know that the United States government, in collaboration with other European nations, have a denial objective to exterminate dark-skinned people of color off through oath through the act of genocide. Number 9, we believe and know that some of the most effective methods that are being used today are AIDS, birth control, alcohol and drug abuse, gang and domestic violence, systematic elimination of trauma centers, the public school system, and public aid within the Black communities of America and the world. Number 10, we believe and know that the last trick that Satan is playing on us is the dividing of us by our religious differences, religious gangbanging. Number 12, we believe and know that the war on drugs and gangs is a diabolical plot to disarm the Black community of weapons, break up the Black family, withdraw our constitutional rights, also kill and incarcerate young Black males under the undercover code name Able 2029. And number 13, we believe and know that every letter, shape, sound, and numerical value contains esoteric information that completely transcends the specific contextual meaning of the word. Our purpose: to bring about the growth of a righteous community in accordance with the laws of the creator of the universe under the leadership and guidance of Brother Minister Raheem Kassad-Aten, to provide solutions to the social and economic ills that plague the communities of urban America. Our goal, to re-educate and retrain youth and young adults to develop positive moral values as an alternative to delinquent behaviors, because you can't rebuild a community and not rebuild the minds of the residents of the community to meet the responsibilities of maintaining the community's image. Our mission, to enhance the economic development of our communities by establishing businesses, real and personal properties, thereby creating jobs and or entrepreneurship programs that will reverse the concept of leaving the community to buying back the community. Our motto, let your light so shine before men that they shall see your good works and glorify your Father, which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16. Please join me and raise your right fist as we recite our salute to the red, black, and green flag. Here's to this flag of mine, the red, black, and green. Hopes in this future bright Africa has seen. Here's to the red of it, great nations shall know of it. In time to come, red blood shall flow of it. Historians shall write of it, this flag of mine. Here's to the black of it, 400 millions back of it, whose destiny depends on it, the red, black, and green of it, oh, flag of mine. Here's to the green of it, young men and women shall dream of it, face shots and shells for it, maidens shall sing of it, waving so high. Here's to the whole of it, colors bright and pole of it. Pleased is my soul with it, regardless of what is told of it. Thanks to God for giving it, this great flag of mine. Please keep your right hand raised as we recite, as we sing our Black national anthem. Black power, Black power, Black power. Black power is the power to define, develop, and defend that which is in the best interest of Black people. Now I'm going to introduce our speaker for today. It is the founder of our movement, Minister Raheem Kassad-Aten. And the title for his lecture today is A Voice of One Crying in the Wilderness.
Greetings. In the name of the everlasting Father, he that causes all that exists to exist, he that is self-existent, he who directs the sonships of millions and trillions of years, he who made time, the seed of the universe. He's known among ancient Kemites or Egyptians as Amun-Ra and Aten, among the Hebrews as Ansar, Yahweh, Elohim, among the Christians as Lord, God, and Jehovah, among the Muslims as Allah, the one God, among the Rastafarians as Jah, Rastafari, among the Yoruba tribe is Olodumare, Obatala, and many, many other Orisha gods. But I bear witness that all of those names refer to the same one, Almighty God. And it is to him whom I give reverence and to whom I submit. I boldly proclaim that we are the descendants of those Black men and women who survived the transatlantic slave trade, and that we are born here in North America, and we are of a Nubian Kemetic lineage. I further proclaim that the blood of all the nations of the world flow through our veins. I greet you all in the ancient but yet holy words of peace, in the languages of our fathers, of Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Abargani, Alafil, and Ashe. Welcome, welcome again to the TOMA Nations live Sunday worship service. And as we've done in the past, for the last 30 years, have been warning our people, showing our people the understanding, the mindset that we have to have in order to come out of our wretched condition. And that is first to recognize that somebody is trying to kill us and that they have waged war on us, but yet we're not fighting them back on the level that they have waged that war on us. And so we are calling our service, even though it's a spiritual, social movement that we are about, but we are at war. We are at war, and I'm going to continue to remind our people that we are at war as long as you see me stand before this podium. I would let you know that we are at war. And so on this great day that some of you all are out celebrating, calling it Independence Day, and we celebrated Juneteenth, which was our particular day to celebrate, because it was not the independence of all our people, it was the independence of a people in Texas who didn't know that 2 years earlier that they had been set free. But this day, July the 4th, is the Independence Day of America. See, and their independence from Britain. That's not our independence. And so I'm not really concerned about this day, because when we're talking about we're at war, you got to first find out who your enemy is. Now, once you find out who the enemy is, you got to come out of her ways or his ways or whoever this enemy is. You have to back down and see first how much influence did that enemy have on you when you didn't know they were your enemy. And once you figure that out, then you got to come out of those ways, out of that relationship, out of those habits, friendships. You have to come out, because it's time to draw the line then. You're at war. You cannot continue to dance with your enemy. You got to fight. And so I don't recognize the 4th of July. There's another religious group that recognizes the 4th of July, and that's the Nation of Islam. Because on July the 4th, and I don't remember exactly what year, is when, well, I'll say it the way they say it. God in person showed up in the form of Master Farad Muhammad. Like I say, I'll say it the way they say it, all right? And so that was kind of like the beginning, all right, of the launching of the Nation of Islam, when Master Farad Muhammad showed up, and I believe in Detroit, Michigan. Y'all might have to correct me a little bit, because I didn't really come on to talk about that, but I just thought I'd share it with you, that this is that anniversary, somewhere around 90-something years ago, all right? So as a whole and as a people, we're not supposed to be celebrating this white man's Independence Day, using it to have fun. But I'm going to get off of it because I got a lot to share with you. I want to talk to you about a voice of one crying in the wilderness. But this one voice actually is plural because of the vehicle that it comes forth from. And with all of us in this vehicle speaking with one voice, then we say one is TOMA, TOMA Nation, where I reside as the founder of this TOMA Nation, AKA Temple of Mercy Association. And the co-founder of this movement is none other than our own brother minister Omari Jahi Aten. And then we have the first lady of our great movement, Sister Aisha. I said her middle name, Makita Aisha Aten. And then all of the rest of the brothers and sisters of this particular movement, other ministers, other sisters, make up that voice of one crying in the wilderness. One movement out of many crying in the wilderness. And I want to read to you from a Bible scripture called John. It's the book of John. All right. And in that book of John, chapter 1, verse 1, it reads as follows. Give me a minute. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. We're talking John the Baptist. The same came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. He was not that light, all right, but was sent to bear witness of that light. And that was the true light, which lighteth every man that cometh into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to overcome the sons of God. Excuse me. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. And the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory as of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. John bare witness of him and cried, saying, this was he of whom I spake. He that cometh after me is preferred before me, for he was before me. And of his fullness have all we received, and grace for grace. For the law was given by Moses, but grace and truth came by Yeshua. No man has seen God at any time. The only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he has declared him. And this is the record of John. When the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask him, who art thou? And he confessed and denied not, but confessed, I'm not the Christ. And then he asked him, what then? Art thou Elias? And he said, I am not. Art thou that prophet? And he answered, no. Then said they unto him, who art thou? That we may give an answer to them that sent us. All boys a lot in that. What sayest thou of thyself? He said, I am the voice of one crying in the wilderness, make straight the way of the Lord. I've read to you the first chapter of John, verse 1 to verse 23. May the Lord add a blessing to the reading of that word for the edification of our hearts and minds. We are an all-inclusive, Black conscious, righteous movement. We study many holy books, the Bible being one. During the month of June, all the way through August, the TOMA Nation focuses on economics, Black economics, wealth, getting off the economic bottom. And true to our nature, we have what we call prescribed readings. And these are the readings and studies of different people, scholars, and different men of God that were sent into the world to do a job. And because we're going to focus on economics, then the two books that I'm going to be speaking, not from, but about, are first, the one that we were in June, which was called S.B. Fuller, Pioneer in Black Economic Development. That's the first book. That was for the month of June. You need to get that book. All right? And you can purchase that book here in Chicago at Dudley's Beauty College on 86, I believe, and what is that street right next block over? I believe it's Green. All right? And the other book is called Powernomics by one Claude Anderson. Just showing you that I have the book. I'm not just talking about the book, but I also own those two books. Now, the TOMA Nation has 13 points of what we believe and know. And point number 2 says, we believe and know that we can only establish an economic base through the application of the knowledge of self. That's first. Know who you are, know whose you are, and know your connection to the God or the creator or the great mind. So it's through the application, this is how we establish our economic base, of the knowledge of self and the incorporation of the ideologies of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Mahatma Gandhi, and the Honorable Ben Amin. Are they the only ones that have done this? No. But these are the the four that we focus on. The Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, he put out an economic blueprint that Black people need to look at and draw from and use in our current condition so that we might be able to come up out of our situation. And later on, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came and said, do for self, separate, pool our resources. And he still has members of his movement pushing that same philosophy, as well as members of the Marcus Garvey movement. And then you got Mahatma Gandhi. We don't deal with Mahatma Gandhi on the level of what he didn't do for Black people. We deal with Mahatma Gandhi on the level of the blueprint that he laid and the example that he laid on how we as a people should rise up against this particular system in order to do for self. He successfully ran Britain out of his country. His country was India. And he stood up and he told his people to stop buying products from Britain and to start making your own clothes. He stopped paying taxes to Britain for salt and showed them how to go get their own salt. He didn't back down. They put him in jail more than once. He did not back down. Every time he came out, he continued doing what he was doing. So you need to study men like that. You need to study because, see, we don't want to repeat the mistakes. We want to repeat all the victories and leave the mistakes out the way. When we look at the mistakes, we know that we are walking that same path. So when we run into it, we can break that cycle. Now, the last but not least, the other person was the Honorable Ben-Ami. Ben-Ami Israel, was of the Hebrew Israelite persuasion. And in the 60s, he took a group of Black people from Chicago en route to Israel to claim that land again. And to make a long story short, they built a kingdom over in Dimona, Israel for Black people. Couldn't we use that blueprint? Yes. We got to stop playing with each other. All this talk about he stole this, he stole that, he stole. How are we going to ever grow and get somewhere constantly talking about somebody stole something? Once you give credit to the people who influenced you, you should always see some elements of something they said or did that that individual person is doing, because if he influenced that individual, the way you show the influence is by the things that you picked up from him and used in your life. So for Black people, we need to study those men. We need to study what they taught. We need to implement what they taught. And every area that failed, we need to go back into our lab and study it so that we might break that cycle and don't let it repeat itself. We have a job to do. All this talking and blabbing ain't getting nowhere. It's just a conversation. So those men were powerful. And so coming up to date to 2021, we're asking our brothers and sisters, because we in TOMA have been pushing unity and peace since our inception. 31 years ago, we've been saying, we got to unite. We've got to unite. And then about 2 years ago, or maybe more, I met a young lady whose name is Pastor Victoria Brady, who had been pushing unity for a while. And we joined together and networked together today in pushing this unity idea among our people. So even though our people have shown us that they really don't want unity, because what it takes for us to unite, we refuse to put it in motion. Every individual that we noticed that talked about unity, it was unity based on you dropping what you're doing and doing what they have in mind. That, brothers and sisters, is not unity. All right? So we're saying unity, maybe we should say solidarity. Maybe unity ain't the right word. Maybe we should be in solidarity with one another. The definition of solidarity is a union of interests, of purpose, or sympathies among members of a group. Fellowship of responsibilities and interests. All right, well, what's one of our purposes? To stop the flood of guns in our community, to stop some of our babies and stuff from dying, being killed. What are some of our responsibilities? Who is responsible for our babies? Who is responsible for our youth? Who is responsible for our education? And the answer is us. But now we got to become solid like a wall right here in America. Even before we become in solidarity with any other African continent, we got to start here among the 30 million Black people in North America. Now, will we get all 30 million? No, we already know that. But you got to reach out to 30 million just to get a few. And I know we work with different movements and organizations. We've been doing it since 1990. And ever since we joined up to network with Pastor Victoria, we've also been working with the Lost Foundation of Islam, the actual, not actual, but the Nation of Islam. And we've been working with Brother Cyron with the Block Club University. I'm trying to remember the current ones that we're working with. But we're working with so many people in the spirit of unity. You see, and we're trying to work things out. The only challenge I have in unity is that some of us are not willing to let go some of our personal feelings. When we get our feelings hurt, we want to quit. When we get our feelings hurt, we walk away and talk about the group. No, get out of your feelings. Rise above emotion into the thinking of God. We got to. I know the screen froze, but if you can still hear me, I'm going to continue to talk. So we must rise above emotions into the thinking of God. Okay, hold on. All right. So we got to be in solidarity with creating a database of all Black business in Chicago and then throughout the United States and make a commitment, all right, to being Black, to buying Black, to walking Black, all right? Our dollars must circulate in order for us to get off the economic. We got to put our money in Black banks, savings and loans, and credit unions. All that we don't have, we must create. We must create it, all right? We must pool our resources. We must work hard at sustaining Black business. It's a lot we got to do, y'all, in the spirit of unity. Now, Wednesday, I'm going to finish this if I don't finish it today. So I'm going to continue, and I'm going to move to S.B. Fuller, some of the things that he said when he was alive. S.B. Fuller, over 60 years ago, a prominent Black businessman, Fuller Product Company. This was an address that he gave at the National Association of Manufacturers, all right, over 60 years ago. And after he spoke to them, a lot of Black people didn't like what he was saying. A lot of bougie Black people didn't like what he was saying. And as usual, usually, it was a Black group of Negroes that sold him out because they didn't like what he said, and what he said was true about us, but they didn't like it. But yet it was true. And I'm going to read some of this. And I might go back and say a little bit more about him. This was December 6, 1963. And here was part of it. This is not all of it. All right. He was talking about the average income. Now, this was 1963. So he said, in 1952, the average Black man's income was 57% of that of the white man's. But in 62, it was only 53% of his income. He says in a period of 10 years, the Black man's income had dropped 4 percentage points in comparison with the white man's income. Well, it's even lower than that now, brothers and sisters. All right. He says the main reason is for our lack of understanding of our capitalistic system of government. Now, Brother Claude Anderson put out a book on powernomics. And he worked in our government in economics. So why wouldn't we get his book? If this is our challenge, and in his book, he's talking about powernomics and economics and capitalism and the system and how it's set up. And then not only shows you, but goes even further to give us a plan on how to execute our position economically in America, to kick it off, to start it off. Coming from out of that book, Powernomics. All right? Instead of always getting upset and getting mad and then wanting to go off, why don't you sit back sometime and do a self-analysis, self-examination, and a self-correction, and then get back on the battlefield and lick your wounds and keep going? That's what we have to start learning how to do. Stop wearing our emotions on our shoulder. Yes, we need to hear this kind of truth. So then he went on to say, capitalism is defined as an economic system in which capital and capitalists play the principal role. Capital, brother, is money, finance, wealth. And it's saying that capitalists play the principal role. It's saying what we've been saying all the time. It's the people with the money that got us still lingering in our condition. We're saying it's the people with the money behind the flood of guns in our community. We're saying it's the people with the money, with the many multiple liquor stores. And I don't mean food and liquor stores anymore, just wine and spirit stores popping up throughout the Black community. They got away from food and liquor. They came in leading with the food and had liquor in the store. Now they're saying they're not going to even have food anymore, nothing but liquor stores now. And then the closing down of different food marts, from Dominic's to Jewel, now to Save-A-Lot, and on and on and on, to where if we don't hurry up and get our economics in our own lap, we're going to suffer, because we don't have our own full service supermarket to feed ourselves. So when they pull up and all we're going to be able to do is drink liquor and eat chips, what's going to happen? Telling you our future, because we don't want to address what's right in front of our eyes. We want to address everything else that's going on right now. Is it ironic, or is it by chance, or is it by design, that the last 4 or 5 mass shootings in Chicago on any part of town was right near a liquor store? Something to make you say, and I won't go there yet, to be content. Now, we know that Bill Gates, we got to go to the top first. Warren Buffett, whoever that man is over Amazon, and whoever that man is over Tesla, and a few others, are totally responsible for putting the money into all of these different vehicles in order to push our demise, from the music industry to the sports industry, all the way down to the food and drug industry, all aimed at our annihilation. But to try to get as much income out of it as they can while they're doing it. So now, here's what he said to Black people that made them mad. All right? He said, let's take, for example, what we need to do as far as being able to control our system. We ain't on that level with the white man, ownership of land, natural wealth, production, distribution, all that, exchange of goods, but we can be well on our way if we create our own prototypes or blueprint to follow. All right? So He said this: if the black man had the amount of initiative, this is S.B. Fuller, courage and imagination required, he could control the retail selling in his own community. We call it buy black. We call it buy back, B-A-C-K, buying back your community. And we got two different ways of getting it. We can go and get a business of our own and compete with the ethnic groups that are already here, or we can do another way, we call it snatchback, Operation Snatchback. Either way, we need to be focusing on buying our community back so that we can establish our own black district. Now watch this. You heard me say that. Now, he said, in New York City, where there are over 1 million black people, this is in 63 now, they do not own over 15 businesses which employ over 10 people. Look at that. 1 million black people in New York, in Harlem, and they didn't own 15 businesses. All right. He said we have to use the laws of observation, concentration, memory, reason, and action. Then said that they would realize that there is a world, talking about black people, of opportunity right in their own communities. This is S.B. Fuller. Look, y'all, a man who, as a young man, he started out penniless. To top that off, he was a black man with only a 6th grade education. And to top that off, his research for success began during the Great Depression. Not after, during. And he became successful. That's why you hear me saying this is our time. While the economy is right where it is where we need to be starting to get back on our feet as a people, as a race, not as an individual. Individuals doing it all day long. See, and according to this here thing you see here, it's telling you freedom is not free. Freedom is not free. It takes money to support the ministries. And we got a few things under our belt that we're doing, and I hope I get to it so that you can be a part of it. If you're not a part of any type of situation that's helping our people get back on our feet, then you can get with us. So it says he would eventually become a multimillionaire who owned or controlled 9 different corporations. What is that? Is that a franchise he had? No, he had a conglomerate. And that's something black people don't think about. But in order to have a conglomerate, you got to learn how to form alliances and form solidarity with other people or groups or other businesses to work together to, what would I call it, to gain a foothold in your community for your community. All right. It says he was born into abject poverty. His rise to wealth and prominence has to be one of the great success stories of all time. It's hard to imagine a least likely candidate for success. Now, when he made his transition, he was 83 years young. There was a man that I knew that knew S.B. Fuller. Matter of fact, he was part of S.B. Fuller's enterprise because S.B. Fuller had a whole cadre of salesmen and women throughout the United States that were selling his products. And Dr. Webb Evans was one of them. Dr. Webb Evans, who we affectionately call Mr. Buy Black. You need to know about him. Dr. Webb Evans has an organization called the United Black American Progress Association. And it was started in 1962, I believe. 61 or 2. And it's over 50 years old. And it's still in existence today. Dr. Webb Evans used to walk and talk with S.B. Fuller all the time. When he made his transition in 2015, he was 101 years young. So these men lived to be well up in age. So you can imagine how long they've been putting in the ears of our brothers and sisters as voices of one, crying in the wilderness to Black people to get up, to come out of her, to repent, to get back on your feet and work together. Listen, open your ears, he said, concentrate, study your history so you won't repeat it. Only repeat the good, not the bad. So I wanted to share that with you because you need to know who he is. And you need to study that book if you want to help your people come up. If you want to help your family come up. If you want to help your spouse or your relationship or your in-laws or whoever, you need to read that book. And you need to be a part of a movement or an organization that's dealing with economics. And the United Black American Progress Association is one of the oldest still standing Black economic movements or organizations here in Chicago that is not resting comfortably inside of a religion. It doesn't matter what your religion is, even if you don't have one, that you can be, if you're Black, a member of the United Black American Progress Association. Now, the oldest one under a religion is the Nation of Islam. That's 90 years old. So it's about 30 years older than the United Black American Progress Association. But the United Black American Progress Association would be second under them, dealing with economics, but number one when it deals with it not being a spiritual religious movement or organization. The United Black American Progress Association, and on which Dr. Evans turned it over to me, and I am now currently watch my words. I am now currently the chairperson and president. Now I'm gonna move quickly to another one. We got to hear this. You got to know this. Because all these 3 months, we're gonna be into economics. I'm gonna talk about Dr. Claude Anderson and what happened to him in 2004. Because we don't want to repeat the mistakes. You need to know what's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen, because every time we step out in a certain arena, you're gonna get them same backlashes, just like Yahshua did, just like Ken Bridges did, just like S.B. Fuller, and all the others. So up to date, Claude Anderson is still alive. Claude Anderson is in his 80s. Claude Anderson has been trying to get Black people to go forward because of what he learned when he was working in the economics department in our government. And he's been trying to uncover it for us for years, and nobody is listening. And what do I mean by not listening? We're not putting into practice what he's telling us. The closest person I know that got to it, and then they got to her, was Dorothy Tillman. Former Alderman Dorothy Tillman was being coached by Dr. Claude Anderson when she started rebuilding. I don't know what neighborhood it's called, but it's around 43rd to 47th Street. From King Drive back to Cottage. And she was naming it different Black names. She was buying up properties and businesses and helping Black businesses come in and stopping construction workers, organizations or corporations, stopping those corporations from building in her community if they didn't have Black people working. Y'all got to give Dorothy Tillman a Black virtual hand because she was putting it into practice. And every Saturday, she has a program that comes on VON early in the morning, and she starts it off with a affirmation called Black, 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 Black. Kudos to former Alderman Dorothy Tillman, who picked up what Claude was saying and began to put it to work before the powers that be got with Black people and pushed her out. Keeps happening. We got to stop repeating those mistakes. We got work to do, y'all. So here's beautiful, my girl Dorothy. So now here's Claude Anderson, who had an idea, who lives in Detroit, Michigan. And here's the article that was in the Washington Times. The Detroit City Council, in defiance of Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, who I believe is in jail now, or they probably let him out, I think, or I think he was one of the people that, what's this other president's name? Not Obama. See, I'm trying to wipe him out of my head. That I go from Obama to Biden, but I'm talking about Trump. That's a shame. That's a shame. Anyway, he might have let him out of jail, but I believe God put him in jail for being defiant against a move that was going to help Black people. And he was the mayor at that time in Detroit. And it says it was plans to create an African town in the same tradition of Chinatown and Little Italy nationwide. All right. And the issue, according to Mayor Kilpatrick, says it turned into a racially divisive economic development proposal. Take a Black man and say something stupid like that, don't it? So in July, the council resolved to build up, here's what they were supposed to do. The city council approves it now, to build up a section of the city devoted to African and Black American literature, cuisine, and art, which Mr. Kilpatrick at first endorsed. Y'all hear me? It was endorsed. But then he vetoed the resolution when it became clear that the council's plan would allow only Black businessmen, only Black investors to use the 38 million earmarked for the project. See, the other ethnic groups started hollering and saying they're going to protest and sue the city. So he turned around and changed his mind because they were trying to call it reverse racism, showing you what happened when you try to stand up economically and take their second income from them, because they live off of two. There's their income and ours. And anytime you want to move over and touch something that they are thriving from and living comfortably from, they come out and show their real colors. They come out and tell you who they really are. All right? So the mayor argued that the resolution is both racist and unconstitutional. Man. So I'm gonna stop there because there's a lot more to it, but you can see now that you can go online and Google it, and you'll see all the articles and all the hell that he went through trying to get an Africa town in Detroit till he just got mad and left Detroit, and he lives in another state now. There were some white people, some Asians, and some Arabs in a chamber of commerce. They were fighting hard against Claude Anderson getting that particular grant money. And it says typically, and this is true, Chinatowns, Little Italies, and other locales, such as Spanish Harlem and New York, were created by immigrants in a time when they were not accepted in other areas of the city and forced to build their own business and communities centered on their respective culture. So why is it bad if we want to do it? You talk about what was done in the past, but even in the past, we was in that economic condition. Today, we still in the same economic condition. And so we don't expect those other ethnic groups to get behind a proposal like that because they feel like it'll take something out of their pocket. So we must do it on our own, get our own money, fund our own enterprise. And that leads me to Gideon 300. because I'm going to tell you some inappropriate behaviors that we have that Claude Anderson talked about. But I got to say this real quick about Gideon 300. August being National Black Business Month. August, National Black Business Month. We're asking you to please commit to help establish the Gideon 300 Fund as a structural framework, just a framework for building a strong and lasting economic base within Chicago's Black community. What is that saying? Pull in your monetary resources so that we can build our own strong economic base. That's what they're saying. This idea came as a vision to the young lady I was telling you about that TOMA works with. And that's Pastor Victoria Brady, pastor of Restoring Hope. And she also has a community-based organization called ABJ. And working with her in her vision, this is what she's saying. The Gideon 300 Fund is a call for 300 Black men and women, Afro-descendants, Moorish Americans, African Americans, or whatever you want to call yourself. We're asking for 300 of you all to contribute $300 each, which will total $90,000. She says there's absolutely no reason that us here in Chicago, which is the Mecca, everybody knows this is the Mecca. And if you don't know what Mecca is, well, we're going to it later. Says that there's no reason that we here in Chicago do not have such a fund. This is a call to action. As it said, put your money where your mouth is. Holy Scripture states it this way: out of the heart flows the issues of life. That's Proverbs 4:23. This fund is a call for God's remnants to take swift, sure, and firm action to become a self-determined people. Yes, we can do this. God has ordained it to be so. See, we ain't just talking. See, we're launching. We ain't just talking land. We got land. We got to figure out what we're going to do with this land. We ain't just talking. We got a community-based patrol that's doing hospitality patrol in our community under the name Original Men in Black. We ain't just talking. We walking the talk. Use y'all terminology. You feel me? The name of the fund is based on this miraculous story of Gideon and his army in the book of Judges in the Old Testament of the Bible. Here, God reduced Gideon's army from 22,000 men to 10,000, and then down to 300 warriors when they warred against the Midianites, which is in the book of Judges, chapter 7. I might go there and read something real quick if I have time, but I don't think I do. I don't. This fund is a call for God's remnants. Says God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. All right? The Gideon 300 Fund will be legally established, will serve as a base to start a high-quality, fresh food grocery mart. We will begin to fund nation-building projects. That means they don't have to go to the government. You won't have to go to a corporate sponsorship, but we'll raise enough money where we can fund projects in our community. Other organizations, help fund them, cover administrative costs. The Gideon Fund will help us win this war against systemic racism, oppression, and injustice. The fund will be held in the spirit of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, rooted in Umoja, which is unity, Kujichagulia, self-determination, Ujima, collective work and responsibility, Ujamaa, cooperative economics, and Nia, meaning purpose. And Kaumba, creativity, Imani, faith. A legal entity and bank account with trusted members of the Black community will serve as stewards of the fund. We already have the bank account and we're getting ready to start pouring that money into that. And we asking our people that it shouldn't stop there at 90,000. It has to continue on, and it has to become self-refueling so that at this point now, we can begin to truly buy back and snatch back our communities. Recent events, including COVID-19, the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, the utterly senseless killing of our babies, dangerous vaccinations, as well as our plight as a suffering and oppressed people, mandates that we stand up for ourselves and build from within. So please decide to join us today. And it is backed by the United Black American Progress Association, where we also have established, well, I won't even say that part, I'll leave that alone because it's time to go. Brothers and sisters, I will be talking to you more on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Same bat time, no, not the same bat time. 7 p.m. on Wednesday, same channel. That's what it is. So I leave you as I greeted you in the ancient but holy words of peace, in the languages of our fathers, of Hotep, Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, Abaragani, Lafia, and Ashe. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Rahim Fasid for that amazing lecture. I hope everyone who's listening live and who listens later opened up their heart, their ears, and their mind to receive that message. We invite you to join us each and every Sunday here live on Facebook. If you have enjoyed the message today, please feel free to support our movement and donate to us on Cash App at TOMANATION. Once again, TOMANATION on Cash App. If you would like to reach us or if you have some questions about what you heard today, you can also reach out to us by phone at 708-730-4858. Thank you for tuning in and have a blessed week.
Right.